അതുപോലെ വേറെ വലിയ പ്രശ്നങ്ങളുണ്ട്. അത് നമ്മൾ ചർച്ച ചെയ്യുന്ന വിഷയമാണ്. Oh, good morning, Matthew ji.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, good morning. Fine. Only one request is that there, and the time issue is there, and 15 minutes for each paper presenters.
Okay.
And when they cross 13 minutes or 12 minutes, you give a general warning. And again, they're going for that there. You can just intervene that there and tell one thing. And another issue that there is, some, especially some people, what they used to do there, they will give more emphasis on introduction, then this, that, and then finally, they may lose your time also.
Oh.
If anybody is that is actually a chair, we are actually, everybody is expecting that from the chair. Chair feel that they are not coming to the
Point.
point. You can intervene at any time.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are in Delhi now?
I am in Delhi around at the moment.
Oh, when you are coming back?
I'll be coming by next week. I'll be there.
You are getting the all ground reality from Kerala.
Not exactly.
What is happening?
It seems elections are over now. Everybody is eagerly waiting for the results. That's what I.
Hello, good morning, Joseph sir, Joseph Matthew sir.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Budh Bahadur Lama from Sikkim University.
Yes, yes.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Yes. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, sir. After a long time, I can see you.
Yeah. Sebastian is back in Sikkim right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
He has already joined.
Ah. So he is right now at the Gangtok only, or Kerala?
Yeah, it's Gangtok only. So we are having online classes.
Okay, okay.
We don't have to go to department and all.
But now I think it will continue for, I think, minimum one semester.
Yeah,
Here in Delhi also, we are, we are not going to the department. Once in a while we go. Otherwise, we conduct everything from home.
Okay. So our Vice Chancellor, Professor Avinash Khare, he has been also tested with this positive recently, COVID-19, and he is in leave right now. So some of our staff also in administrative building being affected by this COVID-19. So for the few days, our university remained suspended for
Activities remain suspended. Here also, in our university also, many people got affected by this. Some of our colleagues got affected by that.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
এই তো দিয়েছি আমার ছবি আসছে তো ভিডিও অন করে দিয়েছি যা কথা বলবে শোনা যাবে কিন্তু সবাই
Matthew sir, good morning. Kelkamo.
Kelkam.
തണുപ്പായോ സർ ഡൽഹിയിൽ?
തണുപ്പായി. ഒരു മഴ രാവിലെ മഴ പെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ ഒരു തണുപ്പ് കൂടുതലായി വന്നു.
Ghosh, good morning.
Hello. এখানে কথা শোনা যাবে? আমাদের কথাটা শোনা
Morning, Dr. Chatukula.
Good morning, Dr. Ma. Okay.
എന്നെ ഉമ്മേന്ന് വിളിച്ചാൽ മതി ഇങ്ങനെ ഡോക്ടർ.
Okay. അത് കാണുമ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയുള്ളൂ, പക്ഷെ ഇത് വെർച്വൽ അല്ലേ, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ്. Professor Buddhadev Ghosh.
Yes. Good morning.
Fine.
How are you?
Fine.
Fine. Thank you.
Oh, Dr. Lama, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, fine. Good morning.
I think you are having busy schedule. Sir, come to Sikkim. It's pretty cold out here.
Actually, we did some work.
Yeah.
Again, I have a plan to come to visit Sikkim, definitely.
Okay.
I will visit your university also.
Sure.
Don't go now. You'll be frozen.
Right.
ജോസ് ഈ സെഷനിലാണോ ഒരാളിൽ നിന്ന് പറഞ്ഞേ?
അല്ലല്ല, ഈ സെഷനിൽ ജസ്റ്റ് എ മിനിറ്റ്.
കേരള യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്ന്
രണ്ടുപേരുണ്ടായിരുന്നതാ, എന്തോ
അല്ല, ഇത് അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡിങ് the link between local administration and local entrepreneurship. അതാണോ?
ഇന്നത്തെ സെഷനിലാണ്, മോർണിംഗ് സെഷനിലാണ്.
അല്ല, അവരാണോ ഇല്ലാത്തത്?
അത് തന്നെ.
ഓക്കെ. So we have two.
John, two people. Two people means one station. Aparna
So we have.
Nish. They are.
So we have only 5 papers, which means okay. Yeah.
Get more time for discussion.
I think they are the first ones to opt out, isn't it? No one else has sent us a communication of that kind. Yes.
Kerala University, they have the public administration department. I don't know.
I don't know, but then their designation says that they are a part of the Department of Political Science. Possibly they are attached to the distance education department, because the distance education they offer both political science as well as public administration courses. At least I haven't seen these two people in the Department of Political Science. So
We start, sir? 10 o'clock. Or should we wait?
We'll wait for just 2 or 3 minutes in case somebody wants, trying to join. Now we'll start. Uma.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the fifth technical session of this very important conference. The fifth session is on federalism, re-centralization, participation, and local government response to COVID-19. We have the honor of having Professor Matthew Joseph C. to chair this session. Professor Matthew Joseph is professor at the MMAJ Academy of International Studies at the Jamia Millia Islamia University, New Delhi. He's also a great friend of the Central University of Kerala's. Thank you so much, sir, for graciously accepting our request to chair this session. I'll now hand over the reins to you to conduct the proceedings of this session. Over to you, sir.
I welcome all of the participants to this session. So without spending much time on introduction and other things, we must start the proceedings. And as the organizers have informed me, the responsibility of the chair is to just keep time. So I would request all the participants to, be brief, and you will all get 15 minutes. There will be a warning at around 13 minutes, and you have to, complete the presentation within 2 minutes after that. So we start with the first presenter. So I think I request the first presenter to make the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I am Deepak Chaudhary from Nepal, Tribhuvan University. Good evening and namaste to all. I am a PhD student, and my subject is also related to leadership and local levels. First of all, I would like to thank you, Professor John Molaka, who invited me in this webinar, as well as Professor Joss. Due to time limitations, I'm going to present here. I'm sharing. Now my title is Post-COVID-19 Local Government under the Federalism in Nepal. Just a minute, wait, yeah. An outline of this paper is divided into 5 chapters: introduction, legal framework, role of local government, discussion, challenges, and implication and conclusion. Actually, my paper focuses on the local governments, how they handle COVID-19 and what are the challenges they face. First, introduction and objectives and method. Actually, Nepal faced hard with COVID-19's impact on both health sector and socio-economic life. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs, and according to the Nepal Health Ministry data, we have recorded confirmed cases is 245,650, and recover is more than 80%, and death cases are noticed 1,663. And Nepal ranks in South Asia is 5th highest death after the India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. It is up to 10th December 2020s. And actually, central government imposed lockdown between 9 March and 9 May, 3 months, without stimulus programs. And many workers stranded at their working place and also border, because many people working in India also, and they were kept in quarantines. But quarantines was not nicely managed. And later, after the lockdown, after 3 months, local government was given such authority to contain COVID-19 to local governments, while number of cases was spiked, particularly in June. And local governments in Nepal, under the federal political systems, was established since 2015. It is new actually. Before it, we have centralized systems in Nepal. If we see the governance system in Nepal, we have 3 layers of the governance. One is federal, states, we have 7 provinces, and local governments. There are 753 local governments, which includes municipality, rural municipality, and districts. Actually, concept of the local governments, I have already said, is new. Though its role in controlling COVID-19 was remarkable, commendable. And major works by local government for COVID-19 are managing quarantine, contact tracing, awareness program, distribution of relief programs like foods and masks. But as a new and less experience and the lack of resources, local government faces many difficulties, challenges, such as the limitation of finance, poor health facility resources, and excessive dependency on the local, on the center. Local government have been excessive dependency on the center. So this paper explores the role of local government in tackling COVID and discusses the challenges through analytic aspects and contents review. And also in this paper, constitution, laws, and acts are reviewed. And also in support to these papers, 3 local governments, chief, mayors, elected representatives are interviewed to understand the ground reality. Now, if we see the legal framework for the local government and decentralizations, we have the federalism system. So it is based on the devolution of power under federalism, providing 3 powers to 3 governments, like the executive and judicial. And also our constitution, it is the Schedule 8 clearly mentioned 22 types of the authority, ranging from local taxes to local level development plans and policies to disaster management to the local levels. And there are various laws and acts for the local government operations and disaster management. First of all, Local Government Operation Act. It is for the operation purpose of the local governments. And secondly, Intergovernmental Fiscal Arrangement Act also. It includes the revenue rights, and local level receive 25% of the total revenue amounts as per the act. And we are focusing mainly in this Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act we have. Actually, as for this act, COVID defined as a non-natural disaster. And Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Committee we have for all level of governments for disaster management. In this figure, we are seeing central, province, and the local government and district. But if central or province made law, local government must follow it. So there are some confusions also, because in terms of autonomy, local governments must follow the laws prepared by the central province. Lack of coordination between province, district, and level are one challenge. And another is district is powerful than local government. Actually, district is dominated by bureaucrat in terms of administrative powers. Only district can impose lockdown or curfew. Local government can't. Now, after the legal frameworks, we are entering in major chapter, role of local government in response to COVID-19. Due to time limit, I go through the subject matter. COVID-19 badly affected socioeconomic sectors like loss of jobs. Tens of thousands of people lost their jobs, and particularly people in the informal sectors have been victimized. And also arise the problems like the mental health, domestic violence, and World Bank predicts GDP will shrink within 1% in 2021. And also, it is also predicted that the widened poverty rate for the UNDP 2000. Also, the governments put lockdown, believing that it could be brought control by closing down. For no minutes. Sorry?
Uttadev, please mute your mic. Oh, carry on, Deepak.
Okay. And I briefly here the function, what the federal government's done and what the local government's done. Federal government is management, contact tracing, something disturbance. Yeah, please mute. Yeah, and contact tracing and testing and regulation people's movements, lockdowns done by the federal governments in the beginning phase in 3 months. And local governments initiations were mainly rescue for stranded people by local government, distributing food, relief package, and supply chains are done by both governments. Now, I presented here 3 local government cases I interview, and I'm presenting here. First of all, Birganj metropolitan city. It is located at the Nepal-Indo border, province 2. In Nepal, actually, Birganj became the hottest spot for the COVID-19 at the end of the August 2020, and more than 20 people died. And Birganj metropolitan city measures took measures like the human settlement restriction, spreading of the awareness, because many people are poor and illiterate. So awareness program is very important, because they do not know how to use mask, why to take mask like this, and rapid testing also. And one house, one person test programs was launched and tested more than 25,000 persons in a week, and also distributed food relief package to 30,000 households. Take care of other peoples also, because the Birganj is the health centers, and many people surrounding the area used to come here. So they also take care of the other peoples than the Birganj. And there was also establishment of the health checks at the custom checkpoints, that is the border, India, Nepal, and managed quarantines and relief program through its own resources. They could not any relief from the province or the centers. And so they faced some problems. The mayor said, like the lack of budget, health workers, health center infrastructure were poor, were the major challenge faced by the city and by the Birganj. And there was poor coordination between the district administrations and the city in the beginnings. I have already said that district administrations have more power in terms of administrative, like imposing people's restrictions like this. So mayor suggested to provide full authority and resources to local levels they can handle in the interview. Now the second is Kothari local government, province 1. It is located at the eastern part of the Nepal. It is also near the India borders, near the West Bengal and Bihar. And first of all, Kothari rural municipality identify poor, vulnerable, marginalized people, labor class, and person who came outside were intensified. Many people return homes, so they done fast to prevent the COVID-19, and distributed food relief within 7 days. Nobody died of hunger. And set up a quarantine at public places like the schools. It also showed that how we have poor infrastructure like the health services. So schools were managed for the quarantines. And rural municipality adopted testing and contact tracing intensively. But there was not good health centers, so they sent nearby the city for PCR testings. That was the conditions. And in our information, 184 corona cases were identified, and one people died, and more than 1,000 PCR testing was done till September by the local governments through its own resources. When discussing, I found that there was the problems of the deficiency of the budget. It just receives 5 lakh from the province. Now, third case is Mithila rural municipality. It is located in the province too, near the Janakpur Dham. This municipality also played an effective role in order to tackle COVID-19. Following measures were adopted during the...
Deepak, you have to complete within 2 minutes. You will get 2 more minutes.
PCR testing of 300%, managing quarantine. Like this same is what I mentioned in the here, so I avoid it. And secondly, that also I took up to rural municipalities, same works they done. And so I want to go in discussion challenge. There are some challenges I categorize in 3 sections, like the overlapping of power and the legal status. There are between the federal government, province, and the local governments. That was the major hindrance during the COVID-19. And second is the institutional environment, the resources. There was the lack of the poor infrastructure, manpower, and technology. Yeah, so such type of also hindrance during the COVID-19 treatment. So, and third is the issue of the good governance. Rampant corruption was noticed during the procurement of the medicine in test kits. So, corruption of lack of transparency in irresponsiveness and the major obstacles I found. And fiscal decentralization was the major part, just 25% of the total revenue they received. So, reformation and fiscal authority utilization and expenditure powers and share of the equalizations are the major issues. And at last, implication and conclusion, I'm concluding within a minute. Message of the COVID-19's local government need to be more strong, and under federalism can only address local people's grievances. Many people, many local governments have effectively tackled COVID-19 for low resources, address poor and vulnerable people's grievances in an immediate way. Therefore, the federal government when federal government withdrew from free testing and treatment for the corona infection in October, it was heavily criticized, but provincial and the local governments have continued to provide free services. So as of literature, I am concluding, as a literature, thousands of jobs lost, increased poverty after COVID, and it is necessity for the local government's effectiveness, need handsome transfer for infrastructure and recovering from COVID. The effectiveness of the local government can only ensure serving the poor and vulnerable peoples. And I found some deficiency like the challenges like the leadership, good governance, and financing matter that must be addressed, that can only solve the challenges and would be the best for preparedness. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak, for concluding well within the time. So I request the second presenter to make this presentation. In the meantime, please check in the chat box. Deepak, please check the chat box. There are some questions addressed to you. While you can answer those questions during the question and answer session.
Okay, sir. Do you have a local government district level? Oh yeah, actually, sir, I have. Can I speak?
I think it is towards the end. I think you can, question and answer session towards the end, not now.
Oh yeah. District level is also the local governments, under the local governments.
Deepak, we will be having question and answer session towards the end of all the presentations. Otherwise, we will not be able to manage that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
May I know who is the next presenter?
Bhutadev, and respected chairperson, you can request Bhutadev to unmute first and then join with us.
Bhutadev sir, please unmute your mic and then.
Okay, I will unmute it.
You are going to the next presenter.
Yes, that is what Chandrakulam says.
Yes. Then fine. Then you make the presentation, please.
Okay. Shall I open the PowerPoint?
Yeah, definitely.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible completely.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. The title of my paper is India's Local Governments, the Need for Taking the Right Path. Now, COVID-19 has demolished the neoliberal dogma of limited government. It shows that when a nation faces a crisis, the government can and should extend its boundary and legitimately assume such power as is needed, take the lead role in dealing with it. The local government, along with the national and subnational governments, work together in countries which performed better in pandemic management. It was noticed once again that many aspects of public health issues, including endemic or pandemic, get better managed at the local government level. It is generally held, that for better management of public health services, including measures necessary to be taken during outbreak of diseases, involvement of local government is necessary. But this postulate may not work in India, particularly in those states which are not panchayat friendly. Reasons are many. The local governments of India, particularly the panchayats, have little autonomous space in terms of administrative powers and resources. They function mostly under the surveillance of the district bureaucracy. Hence, they are generally reluctant to take proactive decisions. In most states, their functions consist in implementing only the development schemes conceived, managed, and financed by the central or state governments. The intrinsic value of local government is extension of democratic government to the grassroots level. The 73rd Constitution Amendment recognizes this but does not provide measures for realizing these objectives. In practice, therefore, panchayats of most of the states, probably barring Kerala, are implementing agencies of the government and not self-governments as envisaged in the Constitution. The 73rd Constitution actually envisages the panchayat as institution of self-government. But in practical status, they are merely implementers of development schemes, not self-government. These two senses. They suffer from many unfreedoms. Besides, their strength as political institution is often not recognized, thus creating a political deficit. This political deficit has led the panchayats to take a wrong path. If they are to be put on the right path, then they need to be endowed with what is their prerogative, namely, or the autonomy or freedom. In our presentation, this point will be elaborated from a historical perspective. And secondly, it will also be argued that dissociation of democracy from local government has been the major stumbling block to its development. Before the British rule, India's local communities were practically self-governed. During the Mughal period, for instance, bureaucrats of the imperial ruler at the Sarkar or district level were concerned with only two aspects of governance, namely maintaining a peace in the area and secondly, collection of land. Rest of the functions of the collective life of the villagers, such as running schools, maintaining wells for drinking water, settling petty disputes, etc., were discharged in the Samaj or the local community. The local lost its freedom of self-rule during the British Raj. Led by the collector and district magistrate, bureaucratic organizations were set up at the district and sub-district levels, enforce laws, maintain peace, and collect revenue. Later, that is after Ripon Resolution of 1882, the local governments were also set up, but were required to function under a restricted electorate and surveillance of and control of these local governments were imposed on local communities from above. Hence, they could not develop a healthy relationship with the local community-based institution and, in fact, destroyed them. Being integrated with the local administration bureaucratically, these local governments, particularly the rural ones, emerged as colonized institutions devoid of any trace of spirit of liberty, which Alexis de Tocqueville could find in the counties and municipal bodies of America when he visited that country during the 1830s. The legacy of the British period, as just described, is responsible to a large extent for the stunted development of Indian local government. We may look at its features. First, The local government would remain subservient to the subnational governments, to the district bureaucracy, because the autonomous local government cannot be accommodated within the existing administrative structure of the local, which is bureaucratic and cannot be altered. In other words, there cannot be autonomous local government without altering the present structure of local administration. Second, the colonized local governments did not have sufficient power and resources to take independent decisions on the allocative functions, that is, in making provisions for different kinds of public goods and services for the local area. Third, accountability of local governments is not with the local electorate, but to the subnational government. These three are the special features or specific features which we may call a kind of a colonial legacy, which we are seeing that. In the dominant discourse of democracy in India, the ideas of free and autonomous local governments generally remain absent. This has contributed to the sustenance of the colonial legacy. But surprisingly, and this is really a surprise, that there is no dark of Indian thinkers advocating local democracy. Mahatma Gandhi's advocacy for Panchayati Raj is well known. This means self-rule of the local communities, leaving such functions to the national and subnational governments as cannot be disturbed from the local level. So in Gandhiji's ideas, sorry, can I continue?
Why not? You can continue.
This means self-rule of the local communities, leaving such functions to the national and subnational governments as cannot be disturbed from the local level. You find in this particular formulation of Mahatma Gandhi's Panchayati Raj, it is not the case of decentralization, but it is a case of entitlement from below to first the powers to all the powers of the state to be Panchayats, and Panchayat retain only those powers which it can dispatch well, and then it takes over the other functions to the upper level of governments. So from the Panchayat, power goes to the state, from the state, power goes to the union. So union is sustained by the local, and that is the unique contribution in Gandhiji's thinking, which we have very much ignored. Then there was Manovendranath Rai, a political activist and thinker, emphasized creation of elected people's committees in the villages and towns for discharging local government independently. Then there was A.M.S. Namboodirpad, a Marxist leader. So he sought to correct the imbalance that is inherent in the Indian Constitution, under which there is democracy at the central and state level, but bureaucracy. There are others also like Jayaprakash Narayan and Ram Manohar Lohia, who resented bureaucratic activity and pleaded for Panchayati Raj. The advocates of local democracy, including Gandhiji, would not create much impression in the minds of the ruling elite at the time of independence, when the constitution was being drafted or thereafter. Hence, the important task of reforming the bureaucratic district administration by extending democratic governments to the districts, villages, and towns were overlooked. Barring one or two states, the local governments still retain their basic colonial character. They suffer from many unfreedoms and have a limited autonomous space. Authors of the Constitution did not establish linkage between the local democracy and local government. This was a fundamental mistake and probably the main reason for the task remaining incomplete even. The local government's role in deepening democracy was not recognized in India, but its instrumental role as implementer of grassroots level development project was recognized. Hence, several attempts were made by the government of India to decentralize some development activities and to promote the growth of local government. But all these were spurred by the local government's instrumental role, instrumental value as implementers of certain types of grassroots level development projects. Its intrinsic value as facilitator of the practice of democracy was ignored. To substantiate this, let us make a quick review of the major attempted reforms. A three-tier panchayat system, known as the first generation panchayat, was the product of the local government reform launched in the late 1950s and early 60s. At that time, the major national program of rural development was community development and national extension service.
Excuse me, Professor Ghosh, you have completed 13 minutes. So you have 2 more minutes to complete the whole thing. So kindly wind up.
Okay, I am just completing. So we had this, but fostering local democracies through panchayats was not a worthwhile objective we pursue. A glaring instance of instrumental value taking precedence over intrinsic value. The next initiative reviving panchayats was in late 1970s with the setting up of the Committee on Panchayat Raj. This committee noted that panchayats could strengthen democracy at the grassroots, but this realization did not influence their recommendation. Justification for recommending regeneration of panchayats was the imperatives of local rural development. The next phase of reform started with the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's interventions, culminating in his abortive attempt to constitutional. And the last major reform was the 1974 amendment. What is missing in all these LD reforms initiated is the issue of democratizing local government. Even in Rajiv Gandhi's 64 amendment, this was not taken care of. So empowerment of LGs by carving out an independent sphere of action for it is a sign one of local democracy, but it was not attended to properly. What is missing on all these local government reforms initiatives is the issue of democratizing local government. Even in and empowerment of local government by carving out an independent sphere of action also was not taken care of. In the most of these states, nothing was done to implement the recommendation. Many people think that they are now witnessing democracy in danger syndrome in many parts of the world. Voices are being raised against authoritarianism and centralization of power by governments in center in some states. The issue of local democracy has accordingly got mixed up. Larger issue of saving the democratic structure. Struggle against authoritarianism and centralization of powers by the elected leaders is going to be the focus of the political agenda of the country. The issue of local democracy has been neglected so far. Still, all is not lost. Local democracy may still have a future if it is made a part of the core objective of safe democracy struggle in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, for concluding the presentation well within time. So in the meanwhile, please kindly check the chat box. There are some questions addressed to you during the time of question answer session. You can answer those questions. You'll get time to go through during this time. So I request the third presenter to make the presentation.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, all the panelists and all the participants. Myself, Upender Singh. I am the PhD scholar at Anamla University and technical advisor at the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, New Delhi. Sir, excuse me. Shall I continue, sir?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah. I have the topic for presentations. Is decentralization civil service reforms to improve the delivery of healthcare services. So I will be sharing the presentations just for a moment. Is my screen visible? Excuse me.
You are visible at the moment, not the screen.
Okay, okay. Is this visible now, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine, sir. So hopefully my presentation is visible to all.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes.
Okay, sir. I'm continuing, sir. So my topic for presentation is the decentralization civil service reforms to improve the delivery of healthcare service. So this is under the guidance of my PhD guide, Dr. K. Senthil Kumar, at Algappa University, professor and Department of Politics and Public Administration. So the decentralizations of the healthcare services. First, we will be talking about the healthcare services status. So India spends about 1.28% of its GDP on healthcare. In 2019, we had 1.28% of our GDP expense on the healthcare services. But in our neighboring countries, we are seeing that they are spending more than the our country. We are spending 1.8, whereas Sri Lanka is spending 1.68%, and Indonesia is spending on healthcare 1.40% of that GDP. So ultimately, we can see that when we will have the less expenses on the healthcare services, then it will be affecting the universal health coverage, which is a goal of the Sustainable Development SDG goal. And we are also the part of the SDG, and we are trying to achieve this UHC. So we need to have the more expenditure on the healthcare services. So in terms of health outcomes, the policymakers have naturally been concerned by India's relative failure in achieving the good health outcomes. So spending more on the health services has been given as solutions for the improving the healthcare services. Civil service reforms is usually supporting strategy. It is not an ultimate solution, but it is a supporting strategy for more general decentralization, government operations, or the service delivery. So one does so in order to provide the best healthcare services in the local level, manage the resources more efficiently, support the other general outcome goals which can be delivered better at the local level. The civil service as a whole can be seen as one of the main instruments with which the government fulfills its obligations in the context of decentralization. This tool must often be reshaped in order to perform a new set of duties efficiently, equitably, and effectively. Reform of the civil service, therefore, is the process of modifying rules and incentives to obtain a more efficient, dedicated, and performing government labor force in newly decentralized environment. So, decentralizations in healthcare, how we are seeing now, the decentralizations as wide variety of it has a power transfers, arrangements, and accountability system. When we have the healthcare decentralizations, it gives potentials for a more rational and unified health services, which caters better way to the local preferences, It improves the implementations of health programs at the grassroots level, at the local level. It decreases in duplications of services, as target populations which we have to provide the service is more specifically defined, and it is being catered more precisely by the decentralized healthcare services. It reduces the inequalities between rural and urban areas. When we have the centralized system, the more focus given to the urban areas. But when we identify the rural priorities, then it reduces the inequalities between the services, which we have a very disparate. Disparately, we can say that we are having 80% of the major healthcare services has focused on the urban areas, and it contains the cost also from moving to streamlined target programs, and it creates the greater community financings and involvement of the local communities. It creates and generates the integrations of activities of different public and private agencies involved in the healthcare services. It improves the intersectoral coordinations, particularly in local government and rural development activities. So, what would be the framework for decentralized healthcare services? On the basis of the experiences, we can say that the achieving the benefits of decentralizations heavily depends on the policy design. What we are designing at the policy level, at the central level, what services we need to be decentralized, which services we need to be kept in the centralized manner. So the deciding these kind of decisions will deliver a lot of impact while delivering the services at the grassroots level, because careful attentions must be given to the health services which need to be prioritized in deciding which functions and programs to transfer and which to retain under the central control. If functions is critical to attainment of the central level goals, in the terms of some central targets, which we feel that at the local level we may not be sustainably achieved, then it should not be decentralized. And another, the degree of freedom that local level has in deciding the amount of resources devoted or for funding the health services, together with the local budgetary realities and financial procedures, it greatly influences the operations of healthcare system. So we need to take care about the financial part, the resources which they have and which they can devote. So, taking a considerable account of these factors, we need to decide. So, any central policies must consider local conditions and the capacities. So, according to the capacities and capabilities at the local level, we can decide the particular service to be decentralized, to be centralized. So, decentralization changes the role for the central ministry staff from line management to the policy formulations. And technical advice and program monitoring also can be focused by the central ministry if we have decentralized the services, decentralized the kind of decisions and the policy part. So the ministry which now have the line management of the budgetary items and all the expenses and the health services, they may focus their attentions to the policy formulations and technical advice and the program monitoring. So further, the civil service reforms, we discuss about the civil service reforms, how it improves the delivery of healthcare services, how it can improve the delivery of healthcare services. So when we speak about the civil service reforms, it usually have the impact as an supporting strategy, not as an wholesale shifting of the strategy. So the more general decentralizations in government operations or the service delivery. So reforms of the civil services, therefore, is the process of modifying rules and incentives to obtain a more efficient, dedicated, and performing government labor force in a newly decentralized environment. So when we have the centralized kind of administrations for the delivering the healthcare services, and all the part will be decided by the central players. while we have the decentralized services, then the kind of roles and responsibilities and the labor force which we indulged in the healthcare management and the healthcare service administrations, it can be managed at the it can be decided more at the local level. So decentralization is inevitably changes the local locations and the power jobs. So when we are having the central influence over the policies and the decisions, then the local players may not have that kind of room to have the decision making. So decentralization creates more opportunities for local autonomy and the responsiveness to more specialized constituencies, but it also gives sub-national government more room to fail, as if specific steps are not taken to build the local technical and managerial capacities, then the decentralizations of the decisions or the policies or the services which we have taken may get fail at the local level. So the capacities and the technical and managerial capabilities at the local level also need to be taken into account while deciding the course of decentralizations. So decentralizations may create a tension between the local autonomy and the national standards. Decentralizations also relaxes national control and creates the potentials for more regional variations in civil services conditions. Some room for the variations allows regions to for the flexibility to hire a civil service that matches their local needs and community needs and their budgetary constraints also. So at the local level, at least at the subnational level, capacity is one of the most important factor, creating a well-functioning decentralized civil service. So the measuring the capacity, level of capacity, and the kind of competencies required to deliver a particular function or role is a very crucial part of decentralization. So in countries where local institutions already exist, the challenges will be reinforce them institutionally and legally, as well as to strengthen their personal management capacities. But in realities, however, varying degree of local capacities, the local government and the civil society, the private sector obviously affect the decisions about the level of government can best perform which tasks. So while delivering the kind of administrative part at the local level, deciding the local conditions. So there are various players which decides the course of decisions that being taken at the local level. It affects by the civil society, the private players, the local community needs, all will be taken into account. So in most cases, decentralization of basic services does not mean the wholesale transfer to local agencies of all the tasks associated with those services. So it is not a kind of complete transfer of the services, but it is a very crucial and very decisively we need to take the particular service to be centralized or to be decentralized. So it is an assessment of local capacity is an integral part of designing the decentralized. So local capacity measurement is a very crucial part while deciding the part of decentralizations. So as many of the problems of effective local decentralizations flow from the poor functioning of the state, political and administrative machinery, giving the state firmer footing for their own revenues, which would allow them to address the local government effectiveness in a less constant manner. I would wish to mention that decentralizations it has shown uh, very important decentralization of healthcare services has been seen in the post during the COVID period, since all the decisions and the management of the COVID containment and controlling the COVID spread has been taken at the local level, at the district level, at the municipality, and by the district administrations. So we have seen the importance of this decentralizations during the COVID period, and it has not much been delivered by the central part. It has very vastly managed at the local level, and with the local efforts only we have seen the containment has taken place. Uh, so at the in which we can say that including the deciding about the containment zones while we had seen the COVID spread. All the decisions was left over the local level. Need of the specific interventions for contain the spread of COVID, deciding the uh, uh, containment zones for uh, contain or control the spread of COVID. When we talk about the decentralizations of this fund flow, as of now, as I am seeing the ministry that we are having the budgetary allocations to the states under the National Health Mission. So it gives the 60-40 kind of budgetary allocations, budget sharing between the center and the state. 60% of the budget given by the center, where 40% of the budgetary allocations bears by the state governments. But in the union territory, the ratio is union territory is 100% supported by the center, and in some hard to reach means hilly areas and northeastern states, they are having the 90 and 10.
Upinder Singh, you have crossed the time limit actually. Kindly conclude.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. So we need to I need to say that when we are having the 60-40 of the budgetary allocations, so we accordingly we are not having the decentralizations in the decision making 60-40 at least. So the budget is having a very crucial role in this. So conclusion, I am just concluding my presentations. So the decentralizations can be the way of improving access to service, tailoring the government actions to provide to the private needs, increasing the opportunities for state-society interactions. So the recent empirical evidences has suggested that the decentralizations has improved local responsiveness, targeting, and service delivery in some cases. However, political decentralizations alone is not likely to have the limited benefits. It is having the limited benefits unless accommodations accompanied by the decentralizations of funds, functions, and the functionaries. For complex heterogeneous services such as healthcare, building the local capacity is also a critical prerequisite for successful decentralization, which improves the healthcare service delivery. So there is fairly widespread agreement that capacity building at all local at the government levels is an essential component for the decentralizations. The sequencing and priority levels of training, whether to train local or the central part first. So it is also having the crucial. So prioritizing the subnational governments have generally been the first to be trained to accept the new responsibilities. The decisions to decentralize or retain the central control over the human resource management, recruitment, hiring, salary settings depends heavily on the existing degree of subnational capacities. So this is my concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Upinder, for concluding the lecture.
Thank you.
So there are some questions addressed to you. Kindly check the chat box during the time of question and answer session. You can answer those questions. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I request the fourth presenter to make the presentation.
Respected Chairman, there is one absent, Aparna. So you can request Dr. Lama.
I request Dr. Lama to make his presentation at this time.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, the entire organizing committee, for giving me this opportunity to share my views on local government. Respected Chair, distinguished panelists, and ladies and gentlemen, the title of my paper is Participatory Democracy and Grassroots Governance in India, a Conceptual Analysis. The paper itself is so lengthy, but I have tried, I don't know, I'll be able to cover up the entire things, but still with a paucity of time, I will try to finish it as early as possible. This entire paper has been divided into different sections. Mostly I have tried to categorize into four sections, subsections. The first one is like competitive democracy, which includes party competitions at the grassroots level. Second subsections is like elite deliberation. That means I have tried to um, project or highlight how this elite theory, which we know that we all know, Mosca, Pareto, and Mitchell's that elite theory, how it is relevant at the practical level. Third one, I have tried to explain, I mean, keeping in mind those experiences at the grassroots level, that is a concept of participatory democracy. Of course, I mean, India as a being a largest democracy, it's really tough and very challenging to have a successful participatory democracy at the grassroots level. But still, I have tried to have some sort of conceptual framework, especially keeping in mind, I mean, the locality from where I belong, that is, of course, the hill regions. And I have tried to compare uh, the position or the status of local government in the hills, that is Darjeeling Hills, and uh, the plain area of West Bengal, that is especially the Paschim Mednipur. I mean, I was there in Paschim Mednipur for 6 years. Before joining Sikkim Central University, I was teaching in Vidyasagar University, which is located in Paschim Mednipur. So I had that opportunity to visit the grams or the villages in Paschim Mednipur. So I'll be just having some sort of uh, analysis between this, I mean, panchayati system, which is there in Mednipur, Paschim Mednipur, and the panchayat system which we have in the hills. This is the third subsections of participative democracy, and the last fourth one is it is about deliberative democracy. Of course, the people, I mean, at the grassroots level, I mean, they uh, they are really, I mean, they wanted to engage themselves even in the process of deliberation, not only in the process of I mean the decision making, in the process of deliberation, decision making, and of course the executions of those plans and programs. So but the point is this: when I had this opportunity to go around the villages, and I found um, uh, some of the people who are very, I mean, something extraordinary, not extraordinary, but still having that prejudices. I mean, I can say that, like, even most of the people which I have seen, like, I mean, they say that, like, we expect a lot of things from the government, right, from the state is not doing this and that because there is no more nothing development sort of development we can find in our locality or a village. uh, there is still a lot of water crisis. I mean, we can see even in the Darjeeling Hills and all. There is no equal distributions of even water by the government PHE or government departments and all. So inequality is always there, even at the grassroots level also. So the, I mean, the mindset which we have is still, I mean, the people at the grassroots level, they have like, we are still, you know, subject. We consider themselves as subject. That means the people themselves consider that subject. They don't consider as like we are, you know, we are the partner or what you call a stakeholder of the decision making process or a political system. I mean, they have this mindset. Still, they don't consider as we are a citizen, because the moment and we consider like we are a citizens, then we will challenge. The people will challenge the power of the state or the power of the, I mean, the ruling government or the institutions. So uh, they think like, I mean, we have uh, we have masters, so we are the subjects. The kind of the British, they have ruled us, you know, and of course those authoritarian form of government, which have been there in India for a lot more than 200 years. And of course, people still carries those mindsets, and they never thought of, I mean, we can have, we can have our own system. We can lead that system. We can formulate how to run those this kind of system. So I don't find such kind of things. There is a lot of problems also, like even peoples are not so educated. There is no proper communications and all. Of course, that is there. But at the same time, this is the really a big challenge which I have seen. That is why the participatory democracy, what I mean to say is that, like, the massive participations of the people. And of course, the government of West Bengal has attempted to take this, local government to the grassroots level. I mean, in the sense, like, to the constituency level, because we have in West Bengal, there is a Gram Sansad also. I mean, besides Gram Sabha, we have Gram Sansad, and of course, we have Village Development Council also, that is Gram Unnayan Samiti, that is there, even at the, electoral constituency level. And just to have a very, structural, participatory democracy. But I can't see those those theoretical model is really implemented, and people are really taking part on this, and no more. I mean, people has no voice, no say. I mean, not only in the plain areas of West Bengal, even in the hills, Darjeeling Hills also. I mean, whenever there is, I have attended some meetings also, and I have seen this. The meetings is actually not for the people. Its meeting is actually for those elite groups. So they come with registers. They have already taken the decisions. I mean, the what do you call, the programs, the development programs, whom to give, they decide. There is no voice of the people. Like, I mean, if you are from the ruling party, because of course that panchayats is in West Bengal is completely not only in plains, even in the hills also, it's completely dominated by ruling party. So um, we have seen, if you are the member of the party, and then you have some contributions to the development of the party, or the, flourishing the party, then when there is a distributions of development programs or something, even, your locality will be fully, infrastructure development would be there. The priority would be given to that. I mean, if you are from that party. So the party has become, one of the important conditions in grassroots level governance in West Bengal. So I think, like, I have found out of this, my research or my experiences. I mean, these three challenges, which is really very vital challenges, and it's really tough to handle such kind of challenges also. I mean, when I interact one of the villagers, and then of course that's the villager says that, I mean, he's a pension holder. He says that, like, for me, what is grassroots governance, for me, what is participatory democracy is nothing like, what I want to have is the smooth access of my what do you call, pensions, the monthly pensions. So according to him, he mean to say that the governance, or you can say that the participatory democracy or democracy for him is simply, I mean, the way the system delivers, and of course, the things which he access should not have any kind of interruptions and all. So, but the point is this, as I told you just now, the three challenges which I have found in my study is, one is the political leadership. I mean, the political leadership, even at the local level also, and their mindsets are really very, very conservative and very, very undemocratic, rather, I should say. And I have seen these things, which systems, because when I had selections of the Gram Panchayats, I have done on the basis of, like, some of the Gram Panchayat had been selected on the basis of the target which they have achieved. within 5 years. And some of the gram panchayats which they kept the target, but they could not achieve it. And so I have seen there, like these political leaders are really, um, I mean, uh, they have, I mean, really, they don't have that inclusive as well as what do you call the flexible mind instead. I mean, they don't have flexible mind, and they have not that feelings to engage the people so that I can come out with the real solutions of the problems. Because uh, the people at the grassroots level who have been born and brought up in the problems, of course, they know the intensity of the problems of that particular ground, and then they will be able to tell us like what would be the possible solutions of that problem. So when the people of that particular village is not being given that opportunity to raise their voice or to come out with a solutions, and then the leaders automatically comes out with its own solutions, like as I told you, because I think the concept of decentralization, sometimes I feel it's simply a I was kind of things, because the decentralization as a process has some limitations, and it is limited up to the local leaders, not to the grassroots ordinary people. I mean, so this decentralized governance which we find, yeah, I find, I mean, it's absolutely undemocratic in nature. So I found this political leadership, I mean, and the kind of system they build up within the local arena, within the local environment or local, it plays a significant role even in the development of that particular locality. And the other one is the bureaucrats which we have at the local level. And the people, they bureaucrats themselves are not in a position to accept that they are the public servants. So in terms of public, they're fine. They say that we are public, but in terms of servant, they are not in a position to accept they are the servant. Rather, they call themselves as a masters. So these kind of prejudice which we have, I think, like still we are continuing the same structural setup being built up by the British. So the
Dr. Lama, you have
bureaucrats.
2 more minutes to conclude.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'll complete this. So the bureaucrats are not in a mindset to accept that, like the people, the villagers, they are the partners. They are the partners in the process of planning, in the process of decision making. And of course, the last one, which I found, is 1.3 million populations of India. It's really difficult to have that because that transitions from subject to citizens. I think like um, we have to have that first understanding on what is subject and what is citizen. So people in a transitions phase still, I have seen these things. They themselves considered as subject. They feel good, satisfied to consider themselves as subject, and instead of considering, I'm not talking about India at large, but I'm talking about the grassroots, the village level, where the people have a very poor backgrounds. They still fighting for the poverties and all. So at the end, we have so many definitions. We have so many, conceptual frameworks. Even Gandhi says that, like, India, the development of India lies the development of villages. When village perishes, India perishes. Of course, I mean, but we don't know where we are going ahead. I mean, whether we are going to the Gandhian model of, grassroots governance or a participatory democracy at the local level, or we are moving, or we are still continuing the same sort of British structural, the kind of development of local institutions, like as nothing as it is simply an extension of uh, central control over the local affairs, or maybe treat it as a local institution as a way or means of collecting revenues and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lama, for your wonderful presentation. So I invite the fifth presenter to make the presentation. Meanwhile, there are some questions to you for Dr. Lama. Please check your chat box, so automatically you'll be able to answer those questions during the question and answer session.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now I invite the fifth presenter to make the presentation.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are absolutely
Okay, sir. Sir, sorry for delay, sir. Respectable Chair, Joseph, sir, and Joe, sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views. My topic of presentation is Pandemic and Assembly Elections of Bihar State and Evaluation of Local Administration. Actually, behind choosing this topic, my purpose was to analyze the first post-pandemic elections, assembly elections in a state which is normally known not as a normal state. We can consider it also as a Bimaru state. And there were so many allegations which have been put on this state, the present situation, the situation of earlier phases also, in which so many, we can say, stigma over there on the situation of the state. So actually, this is assembly election was the first post-pandemic elections. So it was really very interesting to understand the role of the local democracy. I have tried to analyze in this paper that how important role the local administration has played in the successfully conducting of this first post-pandemic election in the whole country. So I have tried to analyze this whole phenomena and the two institutional factors. First was democracy, and the second was state administrative capacity. So I was just trying to understand that how in this situation the whole concept of democracy was being fulfilled or not in this whole scenario of this pandemic. So here I have tried to analyze that democratic situation in a state which is already in so many different pros and cons of pandemic situation. There were so many laborers, just as my fellow colleague 2 days before analyzed from Delhi University, that so many laborers returned to their own villages, and there were also a problem of casualty and so many other things. So in between of all these hackers, there is a natural disaster also. There is a Bihar is a state which generally experiences so many natural disasters as well. So the first challenge is how to maintain all these problems at the same time, how to hold the elections at the same time. So the assembly election, and here the role was also very much positive, which was played by the local governments. One of my colleague and one of my friend who is there in the district of Gaya, in Gaya district in the Bihar state, that was his name was Veer Kumar Rai. He is a probationary officer over there. He just given me his own empirical experiences from there, and he just tried to make me understand that how the whole local administrative units are very rigorously engaged in successfully conduct of this election. Although there is a challenge, and means just we can say that there was a option before the local administrative units that how to adopt or whether to adopt. Sir, I am audible?
You are audible.
There was some disturbance, I think, from some other side. Okay, I should continue.
You
So,
must continue.
whether to adopt a precautionary or a proportional strategy. Yes, there was a challenge before the local administrative units that precautionary level, if they use somewhere, they will, we can say, compromise with the presence of transparency and importantly, public communication as well. But if they opt the proportional strategy, they will be much better able to analyze the whole situation and handle the whole situation, because at the time of election, as we see, Bihar is not a normal state in other senses, because electoral violence was also, risk of electoral violence was also a very big challenges for them. At the same time, here they are facing two challenges, that was how to manage the pandemic situation, at the same time how to manage the electoral violence risk also. So in this time, as he was telling me, or as he was sharing the experiences of his whole team, as because he is working there as a probationary officer, he was telling that there was a whole scope of teamwork, and we faced for the first time dual challenges: how to maintain the whole transparency process, how to maintain the whole accountability mechanism, and how to maintain the public communication as well, because these factors have a greater importance at the time of elections, assembly elections. So what happened that the challenging situation was new, the challenging situation was very much we can say risky also. and violence factor also, that is also played a very important role. So that is how they the whole team learned that how to manage the new situation, because they have somewhere he told me, or somewhere he tried to analyze that there is improved planning capacity, means somewhere we have improved those planning capacities which we could we were trained, and at the same time effective public information campaign also were introduced over there. Then what happened, that public perception of electoral management bodies has also improved. When somewhere the people try to understand, the people try to analyze that, okay, this whole local administrative mechanism can better manage all those electoral hackles, and at the same time the situation of pandemic has also accelerated the whole woes. But even then, those people, those whole team, the whole we can say administrative units, local administrative units, tried to manage it very rigorously, try to manage it very well, and there was a we can say the credit goes to the successful conduction of the whole election process, goes to this local administrative units as well. Because behind choosing this topic, or behind choosing this state, my purpose was to understand from the grassroots level. I just trying to find out what is the situation, because so many things we see in the newspaper, in the media, in the social media as well, but we are not in a situation to understand that what happens from there itself, what happens at the situation which is at the ground level. Situations are always different from whatever we understand, whatever we see. So there was also a challenge of maintaining electoral integrity as well. It was also a challenging situation, that how to maintain the electoral integrity and how to maintain the decentralization and recentralization process. Because as we see, that's the phenomena of elections, that is also in itself, when we talk about the local administrative units, when we talk about the functioning of the local administrative units, we see that there is a process of centralization, then the process of decentralization. But during these elections, during the conduct of these elections, local administrative units had to handle and manage the situation of decentralization and again re-centralization. So the experiences from that particular place was coming to me, was like the whole decentralization and decentralization processes are trying to make the people understand that anyhow, when the situation of assembly elections or conducting such type of elections comes, it is very technically handled by the people of the local administrative units, and they have very successfully proved their capacity. They have very successfully proved their whole training process, which were going on from so many times, from so many days before planning this election. So he just tried to make me understand that different guidelines from the Election Commission of India and as well as the State Election Commission were also issued, and they just try to understand that how these all the principles which have been given within the guidelines should be completely fulfilled. Although they were also suspectable that whether they will be able to conduct such type of elections in a very clean manner, but somehow the efforts, the comprehensive efforts, or we can say the discipline and motivating guidelines from their senior officers, from the officers of the district electoral officer, and so many presiding officers were appointed there to handle all such situations, because this time the first experience was there of the assembly, conducting assembly elections in such a situation. So it was all a very enriching experience from these people, and they just try to understand that how to manage, or we can say in other words also, that it has also enhanced their capacity to conduct or to organize such type of events where a huge number of people are coming, where there is interaction between a huge number of people. You have to maintain the transparency, you have to maintain the accountability, you have to take the measures in which you have to put everybody in a safe phase. So what happens, that these type of experiences enrich your capacity as well, and they try to give us the, we can say idea, or we can say they try to give us the situation of managing pandemic and electoral violence both. So somewhere we see that try to the whole unit was try to understand that this whole decentralization and decentralization process cannot hamper your capacity to manage the things, and different guidelines, they pave the path to the successful conduct of these elections. And the main and most important thing is whatever strategy, whatever proportional strategy have been adopted by the people, that was very successfully done by the whole team. The whole team had very successfully worked all such situations, and comparatively to the prior data, the data from the prior years of the assembly elections, it was a very different experience. It was a very successful, or it was a with the less number of violence occurrences. So while summing up all these things, I was just trying to understand that this type of first assembly election conducting in the post-pandemic situation in a state which is already having the stigma of criminal state, or we can say the situation, the situation of we can say normal social political situation, economic situation are not as much supportive as we think. But even then, the whole team of local administrative authorities, they try to manage the situation in a very perfect manner, in a very rigorous work. Too much rigorous work they have done, and they have very successfully done all these things. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Santuna, for making the presentation very short. So you check your chat box so that some of the questions will be addressed to you. You can answer
Yes, sir.
them,
Definitely, sir.
and then if the question answer session is there, then there also you can answer those questions. So now I invite the sixth presenter to make the presentation. Before making the presentation, kindly identify yourself. That would be good for the entire, gamut of people who are basically present in the session to understand your background and the kind of things we are basically talking about.
Yeah, respected chairperson, and now our all presentations are over.
Okay.
Yeah, there is one absentee in this technical session. So our all presentations are over. Thank you.
That means we have 5 presentations. So
now you can, yeah.
Now I think the question and answer session starts,
First of all, I have some questions. Yeah, I'm giving answer here.
I'll call one by one. Deepak Chowdhury, there are some questions addressed to you in the chat box, and as well as if somebody wants to ask questions also, they can ask questions live. So first of all, you start with your questions which have already appeared in chat box. So kindly start your this thing and be brief. Kindly finish as fast.
Okay, I am sharing. Yeah, just for the questions. I received 3 questions mainly, and one question is, do you have local government at the district level, especially where the local government are placed, located, bureaucrats exercise supervisory role over the local bodies? I would like to make clear that under the local governments, there are municipality, rural municipality, which is the major local governments. It is led by the elected representative. There are 776 municipality in the rural municipality, and elected representative like mayor, chief handle the local governments. And under the local levels, there are also district. District is bigger than the municipality, rural municipality. Under the district, there are numbers of the municipality, rural municipality. There are number of constituencies within the district. And we should understand that the district is the administrative unit actually, led by the bureaucrat, like the magistrate in India. In Nepal, it is called the chief district officer. And its main purpose to see the security situations. Police is under the district. There is the district police officer and district courts. And they are actually they are powerful in administrative sectors and will hand it over to the province in the futures as per the constitutions. And in district, there are also constitutionally we have provision district coordination committee. Yeah, and it is led by the representative, elected representative from the municipality, rural municipality, but its scope and work is very limited, just to coordinate only if there is problem between municipality and within the districts. And main is the municipality and the rural municipality is the local governments. Yeah, of course, bureaucrats are the powerfuls. I have already said in the administrative sectors, still some powers and authority are not handed over to the province. In future, it may be the district administrative unit will under the province. Such type of the scenario we have. And second questions I received, what is the nature of the grants? 25%, are they conditional or conditional? As per the Intergovernmental Act, we have provision of revenue rights, revenue sharing grants, loans, fiscal discipline of the government of Nepal, and the state and local level. This Intergovernmental Act describes the sharing of power and the scope of revenue generation in various ways. The type of the transfer include fiscal equalization, includes grants, it is being used, conditional grant, it is frequently being used, and another is complementary matching grants, we have special grant also. However, local level cannot take foreign assistance or grants directly. And Schedule 4 of the Act clearly mentioned that. Here's the part of the topics, royalty, in which sectors they can collect. We have 5 sectors type of royalty, they can collect the revenue and they have to distribute. And in the distribution part, local federal government receive 50% in each royalty, while state or province just receive 25%, and the local level receive just 25%. So type of we have constitutional provisions in the grant and in the revenue sharing. And last questions I received also COVID data management. It is about the COVID data management. Actually, COVID data management has been handled by the federal government, especially Ministry of Health and Populations, not districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak Chaudhary. So now I invite Professor Buddhadev Ghosh to answer the questions which he has already received in chat box. If somebody wants to ask questions also, they can ask questions to Professor Ghosh. Professor Ghosh, please.
Hello.
Hello. Is Professor Ghosh around to answer?
Professor Buddhadev, you please unmute.
Sorry. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I am not finding those 2 questions in my chat box. Okay. Can you give me those questions once? One was one from John Mulakattu, and the other was from Institute of Rural Management.
Yeah. This chat box you check because
No, I checked. I'm not getting those. I am getting other questions, but not these particular questions. The question from John Mulakattu. Anyway,
there is one question to you from John Mulakat.
Yes.
Can there be? I can read out the question. Can there be a real autonomy without democratizing the district by creating district governments headed by elected representatives?
Yes. Yes.
And another question, I think.
Let me answer this question.
Yes. Okay.
So my answer is that no, actually, there cannot be real autonomy of the local governments without a district government, which is also should be a local government. Now we had the model of Karnataka, this Karnataka model of district government. That was an experimental phase, but if you have to have actually 3-tier panchayat system where you have the local government either at the 3 tiers or in 2 tiers at least multi-levels local governments in the districts, then there has to be one district. So there has to be one district local government. And district local government, you can call it a district government, or you can call it a district local government. Then the name does not matter. It should also have certain sphere of action, and at the district level, and one at the maybe at the block level or at the village level. So in both these local governments should have uh, autonomous powers, and you may call the local government as district government, like Karnataka, or you can just call them district panchayat and give them the autonomous power. That is what is necessary. The other question was?
The other question is addressed to you from the Center for Rural Management. So,
Yes,
do
yes.
you feel the National Disaster Management Act is in part
Yes,
of the federal
yes.
principle?
This National Disaster Management Act, this was the first time during the COVID-19 when it was experimented. Actually, this is really a kind of a draconian law. There's no doubt about it. And it is against decentralization. But on the other hand, we may face a situation like COVID-19 when there's a grave crisis, when really the government has to assume enormous power at its hands. For example, the power to lock down the entire life of the people is something very draconian. But it was necessary for COVID-19 management. So there is a dilemma that it is against decentralization of powers, it is against democracy, because you allow a particular government to assume unlimited powers and almost take away all your human rights. So that is actually a problem which we have to settle through experiments like this. Because here during the case of COVID-19, we found that people did not object to government assuming such power. People accepted lockdown. So because a graver crisis had to be made. So there is no objection on the part of the people to actually contest this lockdown measures. But it was done under the Disaster Management Act. In actually, and therefore, this is really a problem between centralization and decentralization. On the one hand, you can have certain times when you have to centralize powers. At the same time, really maintaining the democratic structure, processes, and now. This is a problem which we have to solve through practice. So COVID-19 was one, and it must be withdrawn as soon as the crisis disappears. And that is my answer for the present.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, for your.
Respected Chairman, shall I ask one question to
Yes, yes,
Professor?
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah. Professor Ghosh, you
Yes.
made a comment that except one or two states, colonial
Yes.
character is very much there. So
Yeah,
I would like to say even that one or two states,
Yes.
still that colonial hangover or character is very much there. I can give you one small example.
No.
See,
Yes.
just a minute.
I know.
See, you take the district administration, the word district administration, quote and unquote, in the Kerala context.
Yes.
It gives an impression that only the district collector headed by some police official, some revenue department, and it is nowhere connecting with the district panchayat. So if that is a case there, even your one or two states are still that colonial character is very much here. Thank you.
I know. Let me elaborate. Actually, when I mentioned one or two states, I had only two states in mind. Number one was Kerala. Kerala actually went farthest among all the states in India, that so far as local government could go. For the present, I will remain satisfied if the rest of the states actually come up to the level of Kerala. The second state was West Bengal, but that was up to the left front regime. After the left front regime, again, the whole panchayat system had gone haywire. Now, even then, even during the left front regime, actually there was decentralization partially, very much partially. And so this autonomy question was not handled at all. And in Kerala also, if you find problems, I mean, those are problems. really, and that you cannot do without settling the whole question constitutionally. Actually, we have to think of a future where we are still continuing at the present, we are still continuing with collector-led district administration, and it is there. And from there, we have to move over to the panchayat-led district administration. And how that can be done, that is the question. And that is the question I raise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Now I invite Mr. Ubendra Singh to answer his questions, which are already there in the chat box.
Hmm.
Ubendra Singh, you are around?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. I'm
Yes.
here. Just I have unmuted myself. I have received a question from Center of Rural Management. It was answered actually in the chat box itself earlier, but I will repeat this one. Yeah. So it was one questions that what it means at the local level, whether it recommends to hand over the PHC to Gram Panchayat and Taluk to CHC, middle tier panchayats and district hospitals, district panchayat. Second, take the case of health secretaries. The state level of health secretaries should not be one of the IAS officer, but a subject specialist. So I have answered this question in the chat box itself, and I will repeat this answer. So in the decentralizations of healthcare services, with services reform should not be a wholesale transfer of the powers and functions. It should be decided selectively, precisely based on the needs and capacities at the local level, and of course its acceptance and the capacity building at the local level is a prerequisite before taking the decentralizations. So the role of generalist versus specialist, as the mentioned in the question. So the transitions of generalist to specialist, I agree with that. It is an hour of the need, and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has sought the comments from the state secretaries and the state governments, that what they think if we have the kind of central health services in the line of the Indian civil services, which we have the generalist in the IAS, whereas in the all India medical service, in which we may have the specialist for managing the healthcare services at the central level and at the state level with the state cadre. So this was this was a very landmark opportunity for the states to indulge themselves in the decentralized power sharing. So the comment was sought, and this is the need of the hour. I agree with that. That there should be a specialist cadre at the all India level to tackle the healthcare services and its delivery at the grassroots level in a more comprehensive and more selective and more effective level. So this is the hour of the need. And the second questions, I think it was related to the are you insisting for more autonomy at the state or local level, generalist versus specialist? So I think it has answered that. So one is that you mentioned assessment of the capacity of local government should be done, and power and responsibility will be given. Certainly, it is if it is handed over, it will be good for the welfare, like central ministry. So I would say that power may be shifted from center to state, state to district, district to block, like so. And this power shifting should be raised and selective at all levels, in planning, in the human resource, in the budgeting, in the expenditure, in the evaluations. So, in achieving the local priorities and in order to achieve the local priorities and prioritizations of the local needs and capacities is very crucial. So, the local needs and capacities need to be prioritized, and that can be tackled by the decentralized way of civil services. So civil service reforms, of course, is the need of the hour, and in all spheres of the delivery, not only in the part of healthcare delivery, but in all the kind of service delivery, the civil service reforms must be adopted. From the focusing journalist to specialist service of administrations, creating the cadre at the central and the state level. So this would be definitely having a great impact on the healthcare service delivery at the grassroots level. And moreover, we have seen this need during the COVID period that all the local decisions was being taken at the local level rather than taking at the central or state level, because they only know about their challenges, they only know about their resources, they only know how to manage the resources, how to rationally deploy the resources to have a prioritized attainment of the prioritized health needs. During the COVID period, it was definitely was priority to contain the spread of the COVID. So in the similar situations, we can have the local targets, we can have the local resources to achieve the targets and to achieve the kind of national goals also, because national goals is going through the local level only. When we have the local attainment of the goals, then only we can achieve the national goals also. So this is only 2-3 questions I have been asked. If is there any questions, then I will happy to answer.
Okay. So I think the questions are over for the time being. So now I invite Dr. Buddha Bahadar Lama to answer questions which are already there in the chat box. And if there are some other questions also, one can ask during this.
Thank you, Chair. I can see two questions in the chat box. One is from Center for the Rural Management. Lama, as you know, the basic understanding of democracy and very particular, the participatory democracy and deliberative democracy is all are equal and everyone has one vote. It gives impression that politically all citizens are capable to represent and is being represented. Then instead of elections, we can advocate lot system, sortation at grassroots level. JP also supported lot system to choose the political functionaries to Gram Panchayats. I feel lot system sortations may be the one of the mechanisms to advocate participatory oblique deliberative democracy. What is your comment? The next one is partyless democracy. Lot system existed in Chola dynasty. Okay. Thank you for the questions, but I don't think so. Like without party, we can, I mean, the kind of partyless democracy, or without party, I don't think so we will be able to have grassroots governance or a participatory democracy at the local level, because the party has been deeply rooted in such a way. Now it without, I mean, having some sort of radical or revolutionary changes, I don't think so we will be able to do that. But instead of that, I would suggest like the kind of experiences which I have collected. I think every villages should have some sort of indigenous model of local government, and that model will have some sort of ethos. That means that local government will have some kind of local identity. I mean, because that will reflect that every individual is a living shell. As JP, of course, I'm really impressed with the ideas of JP, because he says that every individual is a living shell instead of a particle of sand of the entire or the large, I mean, the whole entity, human entity. Of course, individual freedom is very important, and individual themselves, they are the architect of the local government. I think they are the architect of the government which rule on them. So I think some sort of indigenous model needs to be developed where they would feel free, actually, because I have seen in number of cases, like recently what happened, not recently, just 1 year ago, Government of West Bengal has passed in the Legislative Assembly one act to establish state university in Darjeeling, and they have given the nomenclature is Greenfield University. Now the point is this: when we had interactions with the local people, even I belong to Darjeeling only, they said like Greenfield University is something the foreign university. It's coming, foreign university in our locality. But I don't think so. Instead of keeping that Greenfield University, the policymaker could have thought of like, Darjeeling Hill University that reflects some sort of indigenous communities, that ethos and the feelings. So this kind of, I think, mentality has to be there. The mindset has to be there, or the model has to be there, where we find some sort of inclusiveness within that framework. At the same time, we have seen like, when we talk about this local government, basically, I have said in my deliberation also, local government is nothing like a subordinate institution. It is a subordinate institution. So it should remain like a subordinate. So that kind of prejudice, which has to be removed from the system which we have. So I think some sort of indigenous model needs to be incorporated, of course, because the pinch of the shoes, can be filled by those who has weared it. So the local experiences, local, peoples, the villagers, I feel they are the central or the fundamental entity of any kind of local government. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lama. Now I invite Santwana Anand to address questions already typed in the chat box.
Yes, sir. Sir, no questions specifically I can see here. If is there any, please read out.
I think.
So in the chat box, I'm not able to see actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Respected Chairman, just Dr. Sanduna, can you tell me what type of the new techniques, the election campaign, which they followed as far as the Bihar is concerned in the context of COVID, because we all look the Bihar election in the time of COVID. So can you give some examples, some kind of evidences at the grassroots level, how it was effective to applying the e-campaigning techniques in the Bihar Assembly elections? Thank you.
Sir, actually, this was a very new experience from the side of Bihar, and it was a real successful efforts by the local administrative people who just tried to maintain each and everything in an electronic manner. It was the first time the candidates were allowed to all the nominations and their amount of this that is called we can say amount of that is deposited at the time of nomination is also done through online, and there were so many practices which were inculcated by the local administrative people who just tried to maintain the transparency, at the same time the whole mechanism to function in a very smooth manner, that they tried to avoid the situation of violence as well and other situations which were too much disruptive for the whole conduct of election. So in this election we have seen that this was a really first experience to develop a culture to conduct the election in a very systematic manner, in a phase-wise manner, and at the same time it was in such a systematic that was showing the how much they are training, the whole guidelines which have been given to them from the Election Commission of India and the State Election Commission as well. They were all trained in such and such manner that how to maintain such type of practices, means for this it was all new, we can say, on the part of Bihar. But even then, with the help of those local administrative people, they have done very systematically, they have done it at the grassroots level. The people were the people were, that is how trained, that how they have to do the things from contest to the campaigning, and so many other tasks which have been done at the time of election, they all were done by the electronic modes. And those who were not accustomed to it, they also tried to do it very well, and except some exceptions, they all were done very smoothly.
No, I have a question to Dr. Santuna.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
That you have repeatedly, throughout your presentation, you were, projecting BR as a complicated state. Very, very complicated state. It's not
Yes, sir.
this, that. And I don't know why, we are giving this kind of, particular image to Bihar. You're saying that, no, Bihar elections and Bihar civil society is always a lot of violence is away, it's there. So this is true with the case of Bengal also. If you look at what is happening in Bengal, you will find even more violence is there in Bengal. And in some of the North Indian states like UP also have similar kind of violence. So why Bihar is singled out to say that Bihar, in general parlance in North India also, people are having that kind of strange image about Bihar. I am not able to understand why it is so. This is one part of my question. The second is that as
So
second.
definitely your point is very true.
Just
And
one minute, Santan. The second thing is that, no, I'm taking from Professor Jose Chatukulam's question. No, e-campaigning and all such things are happening. Bihar elections this time witnessed, a virulent campaign from the part of left parties, especially CPI, Liberation, and CPIM and CPI. These parties have local level influence, especially in Bhojpur area. They have, especially CPML has very, very strong influence at the local level. So how these political parties, basically left political parties, are very responsible when this kind of a situation, pandemic situation happens. They will be very much responsive towards the needs of the people, the concerns of the people, and things like that. That is what we have been seeing all through. Even in the farmers' agitation also, you can see the way, the disciplined way in which they are somehow dealing with the pandemic on the one side and agitation on the other side. So this would have been there in Bihar also. What was the experience? If you have primary experience about that, please tell us how these left political parties in the area they dealt with this kind of situation during the time of pandemic.
yes, sir. Sir, actually, your point is very true. The situation of violence in West Bengal and in UP itself. But as we see that the state of Bihar is a bit different. It is different because of the situation of the natural calamities, casteism, the caste politics, which I have not mentioned here, is extreme in the state of Bihar. In UP also we see that casteist situation is very extreme. And at the same time, you have very rightly pointed out about the leftist also. But here, as we have seen, except the natural calamities, casteist politics, and other factors which also influence, the people are not that much literate over there. The state of UP and Bihar are lagging behind even now in the matter of literacy. So it was a really challenging that the people who at the grassroots level who are not even literate, how they will be able to tackle with the situation of illiteracy, in which everything they will have to do on in an online mode. Means so many things were there, they were all going on in online mode, and it was really very much challenging for the people for the people who are from the remote areas through combat with such type of new experience of actually elections hold earlier also, but this was a new experience for those people who are from the grassroots level. And at the same time, there was a new experience for the parties itself, and local administration really helped it out in understanding and mitigating all those problems, all those connections which were being built with the people, with the common people, voters, and between the political parties. So the important role which have been played by the local administrative people was especially in the matter of, just as I told in my presentation also, maintaining accountability, transparency, at the same time how to manage the people who are at the polling stations, who were there at the we can say in a mob, or we can say they were also violence, the situation of risk of violence and risk of pandemic itself was very well managed by the local administrative people itself. So I was just trying to focus that the situation of Bihar is very much different from the West Bengal, from the Uttar Pradesh, and from all those states where Marxists are also very much in a disciplined manner. So here we see that the successful conduction of the state of Bihar was done, only the credit that goes to the local administrative people. That was my point of suggestion was just like this.
Thank you. Yes.
Can I come in, Professor Mati Joseph?
Yes, certainly.
I just would like to make a few observations. Dr. Lama talked about the need for, focusing on the local and retaining the identity of the local in local government. Unfortunately, if you look at the state legislations, there is uniformity, and if a particular local body wants to elect its leader directly, say a mayor or a panchayat president directly, that space doesn't exist. So heterogeneity is actually is something that should eventually emerge as a result of decentralization. But that doesn't happen. There's uniformity, and the same is the case even with Kerala. We have same type of projects, same type of procedure in all the panchayats. So that point is very well taken. There was also some discussion about the ideas of Lohia, JP, and Gandhi. But there are some subtle differences between the ideas of Gandhi and JP. Now, there was a committee constituted in the 1960s to examine the status of Gram Sabha in the Panchayat Raj system. Now, this was before the 73rd Amendment, long before the 73rd Amendment, under the chairmanship of R.R. Divakarji, a Gandhian. And the committee came to the conclusion that we need to strengthen the representatives of the people at the Panchayat level initially. And then only we can think about strengthening the bodies like Gram Sabha. Well, this is broadly in line with the Gandhian understanding of the Panchayat. Now, Gandhi never thought that a disorganized group of people in the Gram Sabha can take decisions in a dispassionate manner. He would have no problem if a kind of intermediary committee is constituted between the Gram Sabha and the Gram Panchayat. That would be perfectly in line with his thinking. So, and in his framework, there is space for accommodating a recall of your elected representatives, but not direct decision making by the Gram Sabha. Now, this notion of direct decision making, now this is a contribution made by Jayaprakash Narayan, this notion of Hamara Gaon mein Hum Sarkar, this kind of notion. But then Gandhi was a little more practical. Now we need to realize that the representatives of the people, they have a mandate. So I think we need to strengthen that mandate and allow effective leaders to emerge at that level. And once that happens, and once that gets sufficiently institutionalized, then it is possible to devolve more powers to the lower level. So these are some observations, and I'm glad that Lama insisted on the need for retaining the identity of the local in local government. That's an important point. That's all.
Thank you, Professor John. So is there any other questions to any of these paper presenters?
Yeah, Professor Mati, I will take only one minute, a very small intervention.
Okay.
See, Lama, the situation is that you take the case of Cuba, where the Communist Party of Cuba is very powerful and very strong. At the same time, the local government elections Communist Party is not directly participating. That role is not there as far as the Cuban Communist Party is concerned. What they used to do there, after the election, they used to watch, they used to support, they used to give critique for capacity building, for doing their activities in such a fashion. This is what their one point. There are a number of other models which is providing in the world, number two. Number two, what I mentioned that there, the political party, I do agree that there, you see, the party type of democracy is very much needed, the parliamentary democracy system. But the point is that there, you see the situation, see, wherever you can see that there, the entire space is captured by the political parties. And there is no chance for any persons to come into even the local elections because he or she has to get a ticket from the party. Otherwise, no chance. For getting a ticket in the party, he or she is in the good book of the party. This is the case there. In that case, what happened? JP also argued that JP argued that the elections of the local government should be in a unanimous manner. If it is not that possible, we can go for lot system. Now you look at there, the literature says that there is a theory of sortation, and Jayaprakash Narayanan long back, especially the basic elections at the grassroots level, because of participatory democracy and deliberative democracy, he appreciated the idea of lot system and sortation at the grassroots level. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Jose, if any other questions, yes, otherwise we will conclude the session.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually what I need to say is this, from this, indigenous model kind of things, or local government must represent some sort of local identities and all. The point is this, I mean, when we have seen, whenever the new ideas comes out in terms of local government, or when some framework is being set by the state or the government on a larger scale or a broader scale, somehow, somewhere, I mean, some of the villages are not being accommodated, and then their recognitions, I mean, they have a separate, different identity, but their recognitions is somewhere, it's buried. I mean, maybe in a larger context, it may be in the larger nationwide building of local government, where just now, as someone has says, like in a national, in a wider context, somewhere, I mean, these local issues have been buried somewhere. It's missing out. Now the point is this, I mean, okay, that umbrella term, we can have a very broader framework, but what I feel is that there should be a maximum level of flexibility, so that within that the umbrella, there should be some space of each and every local entity that they can, because what I feel is that the way we have born and brought up from that local issues, and then the intensity of that local issues, the local problems, is well known by the people who are from that particular locality. So I think when we give them those autonomy, those I mean, power to make, to come out with a model of that solutions of that particular problem, I think that would be the most democratic way of having structural setup of a local institution, or maybe the functional aspect of the local institutions, as I feel like that. Because I mean, even when there was a globalizations across the world, and China never ever blocked that globalization, the process of globalization. Rather, China welcomed to that process of globalization, but it continued that process of globalization by its own system, which China has built up. That's what I mean. As a larger context, no doubt about that. We have constitutions, we have legal framework and all, we have act and all. That's fine. But the point is this: there should be maximum flexibility so that a local government of a particular village can design, can have its own way in its own tools. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lama. So, Professor Jose, can we conclude the session or?
No, that is actually now we have a 10 to 15 minutes and our scheduled time is that they are 12:15. Now
Okay.
it is actually the chairman's time there. Chairman has to take the time and it is exclusively for the respected chairman, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Making the comments.
See, I'm very happy to chair this session because these important presentations were made with regard to decentralization and local level government in a national context. So the experience of different states are very different. You have the representations from different parts of the country. I also suggest that the experience is very, very different. Everybody gives the example of Kerala. And there Professor Jose has made a very important intervention by saying that the district panchayats in Kerala are in district administration, and district panchayats are not even linked in the sense that district panchayat, ideally the district panchayat leaders will be the local, they should be leading the administration in the context of every district, but it is happening the other way around. Still, the district magistrate or DM or collector and revenue officers, police, they are considered to be the real administrators in each district. Same is the case with the panchayat level. You may not be, because panchayats have a different history in the state, so you will not be able to find the same kind of problem at the level of local panchayats. But at the district level, I don't think the district panchayat leaders, they are having that kind of role to play at the moment. So that is part of the colonial legacy we had, as Joseph pointed out, that has to be changed. Even a state like Kerala, where a lot of reforms were carried out at the level of local self-government and decentralization. And there was a political campaign on the part of a major political party and the government in the state to have this kind of a expansion of local powers of the local self-government and things like that. Even then, if the situation persists, this is something which is to be taken up very, very seriously. The second thing is that I want to make, the central government is now entering into the areas of where state government has exclusive power. For example, education, in law and order, in such areas where clearly the boundaries are very clear, that state government has absolute power in these areas. In these particular areas also, central government is intervening through various means. For example, in the law and order situation, there CBI is there, NIA is there, all intelligence agencies there. Center is now very seriously intervening into that sphere. In the name of national education policy and things like that, various kinds of proclamations, they are intervening in an exclusive area where state government has absolute power. So the principle of federalism is being attacked from the top. That is the situation at the moment in India. So when we are talking about expanding powers of the local self-government at the grassroots level, and what is happening is that centralization of power taking place. Even the state, which is an important unit within the administration in our country, that is the exclusive powers of the state are being challenged by the center. So it's a very, very, very peculiar kind of a situation which we are right now in. Federalism is questioned from within, and we are on the other hand campaigning for or arguing for the expansion of powers at the local level. So it is basically something related to our notion of power. Local power means what power? What kind of power? That is also very important. Basically we are trying to deal with some very local primary level power, micro level power. But the power at the macro level is still getting concentrated. So there is a discrepancy, I find, because unless and until there is some kind of democratization at the level of macro power, micro level, power decentralization and democracy coming down to the grassroots level will be very difficult. That is exactly what we are witnessing right now. In a state like Kerala, if this is a situation, in the sense that we are aware of it, but at the the political level, civil society level, people are not able to resist to the tendencies of centralization of power at the national level. That is happening. That is a alarming situation. I think this has to be addressed by political parties, civil society groups, as well as I think local level, constitutional bodies also. They must be aware of what is going to happen in the near future. All these important powers are being taken away from them. That situation is there, very much there. So I think we all must be conscious about these things, and must address these things in a systematic manner. That is my position with regard to that. I thank on behalf of the organizers to all the paper presenters. They have all covered their areas respectively very well. And I also thank the organizers for organizing such a timely seminar in the time of a pandemic, where this is something which local governments have to address, because the pandemic can only be addressed by, I think, the local, very responsible local governments. Central governments or in the intermediary powers like state governments and district administration may not be able to address issues at the local level in a pandemic like that of the level of scale of that of COVID-19. So that also a lot of experiences will be having. I hope when we cross this bridge, we will be having a lot of experience with regard to how local governments are dealing with this kind of situations. That will be a great wealth of information how to deal with a future situation like this also. From my side, I thank all of you people, and I am also thankful to the organizers for giving me an opportunity to chair this valuable session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Matthew Joseph, for chairing the session and ensuring that all the presenters got their time, and then keeping the entire proceedings within the time available. I also thank Mr. Deepak Chowdhury, Professor Buddhadev Ghosh, Mr. Rupendra Singh, and Dr. Senthil Kumar, then Dr. Bahadur Lama, and Dr. Santwana Pandey. So we will be having another session today in the evening at 4:30. I invite you all to join the session. We have 2 sessions in the evening, and a couple of 2 other sessions, including the valedictory tomorrow as well as on the day after. Thank you all once again for joining in the various sessions as well as participating actively in the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to the chair and all the organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.